Todd Domboski was 12 years old, walking through his grandmother's backyard when the ground opened beneath him. A 4-foot-wide sinkhole, 150 feet deep, belching carbon monoxide and steam from somewhere far below. His 14-year-old cousin grabbed his arm and pulled him out. Beneath that yard, beneath the streets, beneath the entire town of Centralia, Pennsylvania, a fire had been burning underground for 19 years. It's still burning now, and it was started on purpose. You're listening to The Unlit Room. Every story in here actually happened. That's the part that should scare you. New stories every day, Monday through Saturday. Today, a small town in Pennsylvania has been on fire for more than 60 years. The fire burns 300 feet underground. It could burn for another 250, and the people who started it tried to cover it up. Centralia sits in Columbia County, Pennsylvania, coal country. In 1962, it had about 1,500 residents, a handful of churches, a post office, and a strip mine on the edge of town that the locals had been using as a landfill. The mine was abandoned, the landfill was illegal, and nobody seemed to think that was a problem. May 27, 1962. The Centralia Town Council had a cleanup problem. Memorial Day was coming. The strip mine pit they'd been dumping trash into for years was overflowing. So they did what they'd done before. They hired 5 volunteer firefighters to set it on fire. It wasn't complicated. Burn the trash down, douse the flames, move on. They lit the fire that afternoon. By evening, they doused it with water. The landfill smoldered, then went quiet. Problem solved. 2 days later, on May 29th, the fire came back. They doused it again. On June 4th, back again. This time someone looked closer. They found a hole in the pit wall, 15 feet wide. It led down into the labyrinth of abandoned mine tunnels beneath the town. The fire hadn't gone out. It had gone underground. Centralia sat on top of one of the richest anthracite coal deposits in the eastern United States. The mines beneath it stretched for miles, a maze of shafts and tunnels, some mapped, some forgotten, all of them full of exactly the kind of fuel that burns slowly, steadily, and almost impossibly to extinguish. Micro cliffhanger 1. But the fire wasn't the only thing the town council was trying to keep underground. When the fire wouldn't stay out, the council wrote a letter to the Lehigh Valley Coal Company. They described a fire of unknown origin during unusually hot weather. They didn't mention the landfill. They didn't mention the 5 firefighters they'd hired to set it. They didn't mention that the dump had no permit. That last detail matters. In 1956, 6 years before the fire, Pennsylvania had passed a law requiring permits for any landfill in a strip mine. The reason? Dump fires in strip mines were a known cause of underground coal fires. The state had seen it happen before. They wrote a law specifically to prevent it. Centralia never applied for the permit. The town council burned trash in an unpermitted strip mine dump directly above a network of coal-filled tunnels. And when it went wrong, they lied about how it started. It's worth understanding what a coal seam fire actually is. Coal doesn't burn like wood. It doesn't flame and go out. It smolders. It creeps through seams and veins of fuel at a pace measured in feet per year. It generates temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And because it's underground, you can't starve it of oxygen. The tunnels feed it air from every crack and shaft opening for miles. Micro cliffhanger 2. Over the next 2 decades, the state and federal governments would spend millions trying to stop the fire. None of it worked, and then the ground started swallowing people. Through the 1960s and 70s, there were attempts. Trenches dug to cut off the fire's path, boreholes drilled to monitor its spread. Fly ash flushed into the tunnels to smother it. Each attempt failed. The fire found new seams, new tunnels, new fuel. It spread beneath roads, beneath homes, beneath the cemetery. Carbon monoxide seeped up through basements. Steam rose from cracks in the pavement. By 1980, the fire was burning beneath a significant portion of Centralia. The town still had most of its residents. They could feel the heat through their floors. They could see the steam curling from their yards. Some had carbon monoxide detectors that went off every night. And then, on a winter day in 1981, 12-year-old Todd Domboski walked into his grandmother's backyard. The ground simply opened. A sinkhole, 4 feet wide, 150 feet deep, appeared beneath his feet. Steam and carbon monoxide poured from the hole. Todd grabbed at the edge as he fell. His 14-year-old cousin, who'd been a few steps ahead, turned around and pulled him out by his arm. He'd been standing over a void where the coal had burned away entirely. The temperature at the bottom of that hole was hot enough to kill him in minutes. The gases alone could have done it faster. After Todd Domboski's rescue made national news, the federal government finally acted. In 1984, Congress approved $42 million to relocate the residents of Sen Trail U. Most accepted. Their homes were purchased, demolished, and erased. Break 63477G15. But here's what makes this story so difficult to set down. The 1956 law, the one requiring permits for strip mine landfills, existed because Pennsylvania already knew this could happen. They'd already seen dump fires ignite coal seams. They wrote the law to prevent exactly this. Sen Trail U's town council ignored it, burned trash over a coal mine without a permit, and when the fire started, wrote a letter blaming the weather. A single piece of paperwork, one permit application that would have triggered an inspection, that would have identified the exposed coal seams, that would have stopped the burn before it started, could have prevented all of it. The $42 million, the demolished homes, the boy who nearly fell into the earth, 64 years of fire, all of it traceable to a permit nobody filed and a lie nobody corrected. In 2002, the United States Postal Service revoked Sen Trail U's zip code. By 2017, 5 residents remained, holdouts who'd fought the government's condemnation orders and won the right to stay for the rest of their lives. Pennsylvania Route 61, the old highway through town, was closed and rerouted years ago. The abandoned stretch is still there, cracked, buckled, covered in graffiti, with wisps of steam rising from the fractures. Author David Descartes described the world beneath Sen Trail U as hotter than Mercury, its atmosphere as poisonous as Saturn's. The fire burns at depths up to 300 feet. It covers 3,700 acres. At its current rate, it could burn for another 250 years. Sen Trail U isn't a cautionary tale about coal or fire or even about the fragility of the ground beneath our feet. It's a story about the distance between a small decision and an irreversible consequence. A town council wanted to clean up a dump before Memorial Day. They cut a corner. Then they covered it up. And now, more than 6 decades later, the fire they started is still burning, long after the town itself is gone. Some mistakes don't just have consequences, they outlive everyone who made them. If this one kept you up tonight, good. New stories every day, Monday through Saturday. Subscribe so the next one finds you too. Follow the Unlit Room wherever you listen. Tell a friend, but maybe don't tell them it's all real until after they've finished. Full story on the main channel. Follow if you're wide awake. That was the Unlit Room. See you in the dark.